Welcome to Roof Topics. My name is Leon van Geest and today I'm going to talk to Bas van Schelt from housing corporation Vestia. And we're standing on top of their really remarkable Paperclip, a social housing project from the 80s, which now is enriched with a very nice green biodiverse nature rooftop. And I'm going to talk to Bas how this all came about. Hi Bas.
Hi.
How nice to be here on this very long roof. How long is the roof?
It's about 630 meters, 7,600 square meters, so it's quite a big roof.
It's quite a big roof. And every interview I start with the question, what was your first rooftop experience?
That would be when I was little. I always lived upstairs, never lived on the ground floor. And one of our first houses had a sort of semi-illegal rooftop behind, lived above a shop. We had to go downstairs in the shop when it was closed, and then upstairs on the roof. And then we had a small platform where we could sit and enjoy the sun. And that for me was like a garden, an extra private space. And we used it as a family.
Also with chairs and table?
Yeah, with chairs and table, yeah.
And eating there?
Yeah, eating there, sunbathing there. And later on we moved to a flat building in Delft. We lived on the 14th story. And for me that was more an experience what really got to me, the view, where you see the city. You could view Rotterdam, The Hague on the other side, with the lights, especially in the dark, with all the thousands of lights you see. That was really the impression that got to me.
Sounds like a rooftop fan already.
Ironically, we're going to move to a little townhouse now.
Okay.
So the first time in my life I will have a garden.
Okay, which is also nice. But we're also here in a garden, but it's a rooftop garden.
Yeah.
It's not a green rooftop, it's a nature rooftop, as you call it.
Yeah, we call it, we're in the Paperclip building. It's, for me at least, one of the most special buildings of Rotterdam, but also in the Netherlands.
Already before you worked for Vestia?
Yeah, it's been built in the 80s, and it's a very un-Dutch-like build. It's more the build of the scale. You see it more in the suburbs of Paris or in Italy.
Yeah.
The large-scale social housing. This is all social housing, also designed as social housing by architect Karel Weber, as one of as the first dwellings in this area, which was at the time a rural industrial area. Yeah. With all big, large-scale buildings. Yeah. So with when you're on the rooftop, what surprised me the most the first time I came here is that you can see the skyline of Rotterdam, which is such a beautiful picture.
Yeah.
And at the same time, when I first came here on the roof, it was just gravel. It was this rocky stones, just a ballast for the water, the roof surface. So it was not appealing at all. When Vestia was planning the renovation, the municipality tempted us. Hey, you have a special building. We think it's special. We own the courtyard. What if we both do something extra? Then we can create something really interesting.
And when was that first conversation? How many years ago?
That was before my time. It was in the beginning of 2017. So it's just been
almost 4 years
finished.
ago.
Yeah, almost 4 years ago. Yeah.
And then everybody thought, okay, this is a nice dream, or everybody thought, okay, yeah, we can do this, or how was the reception of that idea?
It was not at all that it was like everybody said yes. It was no, not at all. It was really the municipality that tempted us, pushed us, motivated us to do something extra. You have this building, this is unique. we have this momentum of your planned maintenance, your renovation. This is the only moment you can do something.
Yeah. And which part of the municipality was that?
That was the development part of the municipality, as well as the maintenance part of the, but mostly the development part.
And why do you think it was important for them?
Rotterdam has a large ambition on giving extra functionality on roof spaces, on roofs, as well as a resilience strategy for the city, climate adaptation to give an answer to that, but also resilience of people. And they saw the paperclip with social housing, special building, momentum. This is a perfect pilot project to do something.
Yeah. So and pilot projects have a lot of struggles always. So I imagine it wasn't simple to be here, because drawing the picture and having the dream is very easy, but then realizing the dream, that's the hard part. Where were what was the big struggle?
Well, the struggle, my one of my colleagues, Maarten, he was really one of the powers to activate, to start this project, because he had the guts to stick out his neck and say, okay, let's do something. I will make sure we have internally the approvals of the board, and he was the motor behind it. And later I joined him from the maintenance part, and then we started working on it together. So first it was a challenge to get as enthusiastic as an organization as the municipality already was.
Because you're a housing corporation and you should just make nice social housing and not nature rooftops.
Yeah, this is not what we do daily. What we do daily is maintaining, renovating social housing. But doing something with roofs, it's out of our comfort zone. We don't have the expertise for it.
You also don't have other rooftops in Rotterdam or somewhere else which you have done, or?
There are some, but those were all newly built at the time.
Okay.
So this was part of a design of the building. And to do it on an existing building, you see all kinds of hurdles, like roof accessibility, the load-bearing capacity, the chance of leakages, budget, mainly budget. It's also we are very cautious with our euros, because we can only spend them once, and we're meant to do social housing, so it's not our money.
It's money of the people who rent your houses.
Exactly.
And they want cheap rental and not green rooftops.
And we have other kinds of assignments like CO2 neutrality, energy efficiency, keeping the rents low. So it always costs extra financially, and since we don't have policy on it, you have to go through boundaries in your organization. Like, why do we do this? You get the question, why would we do this?
And then everybody says, okay, let's make it a business model, because then it works. And when we have a business model, we can start.
That is exactly what happens, and I think it's like that in a lot of organizations. Okay, make a business case, and then it's a very open question, a business case. But so we started making a business case, and in the meantime, we formalized our collaboration with the municipality in a European LIFE program, which was subsidizing initiatives referring to climate adaptation, new business models. So this was also part of the assignments. And then you start puzzling a business case. So of course that's the finance, the financial costs and gains, but it's also all the other stuff which you cannot really put into euros, like what does it do for the pride of the people, the image of the building, what does it do for the environment, what does it do for biodiversity.
You cannot put that in a business case.
You can write it down, but eventually decisions are made on the euros, and that's what makes it very difficult to get something started. because our ambition was much bigger than we are now. I'm very proud of what we achieved with the limitations we had. But the plans of for this roof were big in terms of collecting rainwater, disconnecting from the sewer, adding green facades. The facade today ought to be green. Solar panels, maximum amount of solar panels. And our idea was, and I think in this building it didn't work, but in many cases it can work. Our idea was, what if you make a large energy farm on the roof with solar panels? You have a big surface here, and you collect the gains, the financial gains of the solar panels. These are euros. And you put these euros into climate adaptation. You pay green and blue with the yellow you collect. So this was a very achievable, feasible idea.
But it didn't happen.
But it didn't happen.
Didn't see no solar panels.
No solar panels. No. That's where you get into the limitations of being a housing corporation. You cannot do everything, because we're meant to maintain houses, to renovate houses, but not to harvest energy. We wanted our analysis was that selling the solar energy directly to the net was the best business case, the biggest gain. But that we cannot do. We have to connect it to our building, and then you lose the pure gain which you need for the green and blue, because you offer the
you don't get any money back.
You don't get the money back, or just a part of it from the. So this made it.
So in a way, it's also a kind of regulation thing that you could not do what you wanted to do. Yeah,
it was, and part also our business case was not a plus, so that made it also difficult. But it stopped when our authorities, the housing corporations are regulated, when they said you cannot do it.
Yeah. Which in a way is a good thing, that the housing corporations are regulated and they don't do anything too much other than renting houses. But in this case, it was kind of pity.
Yeah, it has a purpose, the regulatory frame. But in this case, it makes sustainability extra difficult. All these regulations which are not fitted to the future.
But still, you didn't have a business case. But we're sitting on a beautiful roof to be. You can see the potential lying around us with water and with little hills and with wood and everything.
Exactly. And
how did that came about?
That we were in this together. Municipality, EU, Vestia, and other projects. We were in this together. We had an agreement that we would do something extra. So we were bound.
You set your autograph. We're going to do this. European subsidy.
That helps.
Municipality.
That really helps to not bail out when it's when you have a downfall. So that was really helpful. And then we started working and looking together. What can we do? We had a budget for.
We knew what we couldn't do. So now what can we do?
Yeah. So we had a budget in the renovation for the roof, and which was much less than in the beginning, but we had a budget, so we could work from that. And at the same time, our idea was, okay, this is a building in the 80s, concrete roof, must be easy to put the extra load on it, right? But at the time, it was designed and built on a very tight budget, and it was built as social housing, so always the budget is tight. So the design was very clever. A lot of repetition makes it cheaper, and if you have a lot of repetition, you can design your steel in the roof very accurately. Then you save a lot of money. But that was our our problem now, because we could only add 40 kilograms per square meter now.
That's not
we found out. Okay, then we thought this is a second downfall. But what if we ask the constructional engineer, make an exact layout of where you can add which load-bearing load, and then we get a layout, which was eventually the layout for this design.
Yeah.
Because if you would look from above, you could see the constructional layout in this design. And we asked our contractor for Green van der Tol. We asked them, okay, if you have this budget, we want an iconic roof. We have an assignment that we do something with climate adaptation.
Yeah.
And we have this budget. What would you do? And they came up with a natural, a biodiverse natural roof, which is much more focused on attracting biodiversity. And we would have never thought of that because as a housing corporation we have no knowledge of ecology.
No.
So we already had the idea because it's so big, to cut it in themes.
Yeah.
So they designed 4 themes: a wood theme, a rocky theme, a moisty theme, and a hilly theme. Each designed to attract a different type of flora and fauna. And eventually it has this roof, and it's growing as we stand here.
This is now here for a year?
3/4 of a year. Yeah.
And we had a very hot summer, so it couldn't really bloom already.
Yeah, since the budget was tight, we had to do some tricks. So we couldn't lay out a complete green roof from installation date. That's too expensive. If you start planting, that's a lot of labor and a lot of material.
Yeah.
So seeding is much cheaper. It just takes time, but it will get there. It does take time. So we did a combination of that. 1/3 was planted, and 2/3 is seeded, sowed. But in the beginning of this summer, it was very hot and very dry.
Yeah.
So the part of the plantation vegetation died already. So it needs more time to recover now. And now it's seeded for in September. So it was 2 months ago, almost. And you already see with the wet period, it really starts grabbing the substrate, so it starts growing and greening.
Nice. Well, what is very remarkable is that we see a little path, like for people to walk on, you could say, but it's not a public accessible roof.
No.
It's very hard to get up here.
Yeah.
Why the path?
We didn't want. Well, actually, it was an idea of Van der Tol, a nature roof. So, as nature, you put a bit of nature, which you find on the ground, on ground level. We put this on the roof. So they try to look at it like that. So, using vegetation, roofs, like the trees you see up there. The trees are from gardens of Vestia houses, of our housing corporation houses that they had to cut down. And they put it here on the roof. So they wanted to make it look like nature. And in the first 3 years we are going to direct how it's going to look like, and then we let it go, and then we let nature decide. So the organic path you see, it looks like a bit like a park, but it's also, we didn't want straight lines because it doesn't fit the nature aspect of the roof.
And it's also a bit more like nature has conquered the old rooftop where there were only stones.
Yeah, that's true. I never looked at it like that, but it's right. You're right. Yeah.
Really nice. You say 3 years, then it's like how you want it to be.
It should be.
It should be.
It should be. But that's the.
And then you have a contract with Van der Tol to do some things. Is that a lot of costs that you still have, or is it?
No, it's that was one of our assignments to Van der Tol. Design something which is cheap in the maintenance phase.
Yeah.
Because if every year you have to come here 4 times and start gardening, you can imagine that costs a lot of money. And so that was also the idea of a nature roof. You plant something, you try to manage it according to your view, but then you let it go. So they will just come up here to see if no vegetation is going through the roof, for example, or in the sewer system, that it's safe. So it's more like an inspection than it's gardening, and that makes it very cheap. And just slightly more expensive than maintaining a normal roof.
Okay, yeah. And so somebody's watching this interview, they have a large building in Breda or in Glasgow or wherever, and they've made their business case and they come to the conclusion, I don't have a business case. What do you advise?
Don't make a business case.
Don't
say yes to making a business case. You have to integrate it into your renovation. See it as another facade or another part of your renovation. It is an integrated plan of your renovation. So don't lift it up like it's something different. See it as roofing material, because you can never have a business case financially for
solely a roof. It's part of a building.
If you make it a commercial function, yes, you can definitely have a good financial business case.
Yeah.
If you can sell drinks here, of course. But if you cannot do that, don't make a business case. Integrate it in your plan and make that plan as a total
case
feasible.
Is the building.
Exactly.
And not the rooftop.
Yeah. And with this project you're doing, you want to achieve something and make sure that this roof touches this vision you have for this project and this building. Yeah. That it's a part of it, because then no one can cut it out, because it's an integral part of your plan.
Yeah. And also what I like is that the same design that's here is also going to be in the courtyard in the middle.
Yeah, it's because that's one of the things that makes it difficult. The roof is not accessible, it's not strong enough. Although people 66 dwellings can look at it, because they are living higher and a lot of buildings around, but we do it for our tenants. They cannot really enjoy and appreciate it like we are doing now, and we're privileged to sit here. So we thought, how can we give the tenants an idea of what's happening on the roof, other than just pictures and letters and brochures. So we decided to make a replica on street level. We had very stony parts and two themes. We replicated on ground surface level, and the municipality will now start soon with the inner courtyard to make that to give that more function.
And that's also good for biodiversity, because little animal insects here, they can also you probably get a connection between the two.
Yeah, that's the idea, that you connect a sort of ecology line. Roof, the tree tops, which are almost on the same level, but over there they're on the same level. They're connected via roof, treetop, roof, treetop. So birds, you see them already all around.
You're part of the ecosystem.
They have to land here. They will lay eggs here. They will drink here from the little puddles. Now it's dry, but you will have little puddles here.
Yeah, really nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for explaining all this, and I really would love to come back in 3 years and see in what oasis we are sitting then.
Yeah, you're more than welcome there.
Okay.
Thank you.